The U.S. is tracking a big drop in tourism from around the world. Take a look at this. Travel from Canada and Mexico was down double digits in March. We're also seeing fewer visitors from Western Europe, Central and South Asia, South America, I should say.
I've been to Vegas like probably 20 times, and I definitely think this is the slowest I've seen in a long time.
We were not expecting it to be that expensive. It's quite expensive.
I love going to the U.S. I spend a lot of time there.
But now you're curtailing that.
Yeah, no.
All in direct response to what President Trump is up to.
Basically,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
What happens when a $74 billion economy faces a tourism collapse? Georgia, a state once thriving on its vibrant tourism industry, is now grappling with a major economic crisis. The once bustling streets of Savannah, Atlanta, and the state's many renowned tourist spots are now eerily empty, as policies and global challenges have forced international visitors to stay away. In today's video, we're diving deep into the factors that led to this crisis, the impact of tariffs, political decisions, and the broader consequences for Georgia's economy. But the bigger question remains, can Georgia recover, or is this the beginning of a long-term economic decline? Stay tuned as we break down the situation, its causes, and what the future may hold for Georgia's $74 billion economy. Part 1. Georgia's tourism industry before the collapse. Before the events of 2025, Georgia's tourism industry was booming. Tourism contributed a staggering $74 billion to the state's economy, making it one of Georgia's most valuable sectors. Visitors flocked to the state for its rich history, beautiful landscapes, and vibrant cultural scene. From the historic streets of Savannah to the bustling downtown of Atlanta, Georgia offered something for everyone. Whether it was outdoor adventures in the Blue Ridge Mountains or family fun at the Georgia Aquarium. In fact, Georgia was one of the top destinations in the United States, attracting millions of visitors each year. The state's tourism infrastructure was thriving, with thousands of hotels, restaurants, and businesses relying heavily on the influx of travelers. According to the Georgia Department of Economic Development, in 2019, over 107 million visitors came to the state, contributing directly to jobs in hospitality, retail, and transportation. Tourism was a lifeline for many businesses, particularly in major cities like Atlanta and in popular tourist spots like Savannah, where more than 15,000 people worked in the hospitality sector alone. For years, tourism was one of the main drivers of Georgia's economic growth, supporting a thriving economy and providing thousands of jobs. However, by 2025, that prosperity began to unravel. While Georgia's natural and cultural attractions remained unchanged, the policies surrounding travel and international tourism began to shift dramatically. And these shifts, combined with broader economic challenges, started to take their toll on the state's tourism sector. Part 2. The impact of Trump's tariffs on Georgia's economy. In addition to the shift in travel policies, another key factor played a role in Georgia's economic decline: Trump's tariffs. The tariffs, introduced during the Trump administration, significantly impacted the global flow of goods and services. These tariffs, particularly those on imports from China and other key trading partners, increased the cost of everyday goods in the U.S. For international tourists, this meant higher prices for flights, accommodations, and services in Georgia. A report from the U.S. Travel Association in 2020 estimated that these tariffs cost the U.S. tourism industry over $10 billion in lost revenue. Georgia, heavily reliant on international visitors, felt this blow acutely. As costs rose, potential visitors chose to travel elsewhere, making Georgia less attractive as a tourist destination. This led to a 20% drop in international tourists visiting Georgia from 2020 to 2025. The effects were particularly felt in major cities like Atlanta, where international travelers made up a significant portion of hotel bookings and spending. The ripple effect was felt across the state, as local businesses and industries ranging from transportation to retail saw a decrease in revenue. In fact, a survey by the Georgia Hotel and Lodging Association revealed that over 2,000 hotel jobs were lost in 2024 alone, directly related to the declining number of visitors. For Georgia, a state that once saw tourism as a key economic pillar, these tariffs created a domino effect, weakening one of its primary revenue sources. The result? A further strain on Georgia's $74 billion economy. Part 3. Wider economic impacts. The impact of Georgia's tourism decline wasn't isolated to just the hospitality sector. When tourism dropped, local businesses across the state began to feel the strain. Restaurants, shops, and service-based businesses that thrived on the foot traffic from tourists saw their revenue plunge. In fact, a survey by the Georgia Restaurant Association showed that more than 40% of restaurants in major tourist cities experienced a significant drop in sales in 2024. Beyond hospitality, the retail sector also took a hit. Tourists, who typically spend on souvenirs and local goods, were no longer flocking to Georgia's shopping districts. This led to smaller profits for local shops, which in turn contributed to layoffs and business closures. The state's transportation sector was not immune either. With fewer tourists visiting, demand for taxis, ride-sharing services, and even local public transportation dropped. Many companies that relied on tourism to survive were forced to downsize, or in some cases, shut down entirely. As the tourism sector crumbled, Georgia's overall economy began to show signs of stress. In early 2025, Georgia's unemployment rate rose from 3.2% to nearly 5%, largely due to the slowdowns in tourism and related industries. The Georgia Department of Labor reported that the hardest-hit industries were hospitality, retail, and transportation, which together accounted for over 100,000 lost jobs. This was a direct consequence of the ripple effects of tourism's decline and the broader economic impacts of rising costs and decreasing consumer spending. While Georgia's economy had always been diversified, tourism had been the lifeblood of many of its small businesses and local economies. Without it, the state's recovery became far more complicated. As the economic strain continued, many communities that once depended on tourism were now grappling with an uncertain future. Part 4. Government Response and Recovery Solutions. As Georgia's economy faced a sharp downturn, the state government took action, implementing several measures aimed at mitigating the damage. Governor Brian Kemp's administration announced a series of relief packages for businesses struggling due to the tourism crisis. One of the first steps was introducing financial assistance for small businesses, particularly those in the hospitality and tourism sectors. These included low-interest loans, tax relief, and grants to help businesses stay afloat. But were these efforts enough? While these measures provided temporary relief, experts argue they were not sufficient to counter the long-term effects of the tourism collapse. Many business owners reported that, while the grants and loans were helpful, they did little to address the root cause of the problem, the shrinking number of tourists. In addition to financial assistance, the state also launched a marketing campaign designed to attract domestic travelers back to Georgia. The campaign, focusing on Georgia's rich culture and history, aimed to reposition the state as an ideal destination for American tourists. However, experts pointed out that while domestic tourism could help, international visitors, who make up a significant portion of Georgia's tourism revenue, were unlikely to return without changes to national travel policies and tariff structures. Recognizing this, the state pushed for federal intervention, calling for larger stimulus packages that would specifically target the tourism sector. The Georgia Chamber of Commerce and the state's tourism board have repeatedly lobbied Congress for a national solution, urging lawmakers to reduce tariffs and ease travel restrictions. In the meantime, local governments in cities like Atlanta and Savannah have also explored ways to diversify their economies beyond tourism. Efforts include promoting Georgia as a hub for business and technology, with some success in attracting new industries to the state. Still, it's clear that these efforts can only go so far. Without a long-term, sustainable recovery plan and a broader national strategy to support tourism, Georgia's economic challenges are likely to persist. In the coming months, Georgia will need to find innovative ways to both revive its tourism sector and build a more resilient economy. But for now, the question remains, can these recovery efforts be enough to pull Georgia's $74 billion economy back from the brink? Part 5, the road ahead. So, what does the future hold for Georgia's economy? While the state has taken significant steps to address the immediate fallout from the tourism collapse, the road to recovery is long and uncertain. Experts agree that Georgia must find ways to diversify its economy beyond tourism if it hopes to sustain long-term growth. The good news? Georgia has some advantages. The state is home to a rapidly growing tech industry, a booming film production sector, and a strong agricultural base. These sectors could serve as lifelines, helping to offset the losses from tourism. However, the reality is that tourism has been a cornerstone of Georgia's economic prosperity, and rebuilding it will require more than just financial relief or domestic marketing campaigns. The state will need to push for broader changes at the federal level, such as reducing tariffs and lifting travel restrictions to restore international tourism. Additionally, local governments will have to double down on innovation, finding new ways to attract global investment while preserving the state's cultural and historical appeal. The recovery won't happen overnight, but it's possible. It may take years, and it will likely involve new partnerships both within the U.S. and abroad. The question is whether Georgia can capitalize on its strengths to build a more resilient, diverse economy, or whether the scars of the tourism collapse will prove too deep to recover from. For now, Georgia's future remains uncertain, but the state's ability to adapt and evolve will determine if it can bounce back and rebuild its once thriving $74 billion economy. As Georgia faces the aftermath of its tourism collapse, the road ahead will be challenging but not impossible. The state has the potential to recover, but it will require a balanced approach, not just focusing on short-term fixes, but also investing in long-term sustainability and economic diversification. Can Georgia rebuild its $74 billion economy? Can the tourism sector bounce back? And what role will innovation and federal policy play in the recovery? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Georgia can recover, or are these challenges too great to overcome? Drop your comments below and let us know what you think about the future of Georgia's economy. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more updates on Georgia's economic journey and other important stories affecting the U.S. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.